this lesson, we're going to review the index formula. The index formula returns the value of an item in a table depending on the row and column number chosen to be indexed in the formula. Let's take a closer look at the formula syntax. In the formula, we have the array, and this is the range of cells to be selected. And if the array contains one row or column, the corresponding row number or column number is optional. If the array has more than one row and more than one column, and only one row number or column number is used, the index returns an array of the entire row or column in the array. Next, we have the row number and column number. So this selects the row in the array from which you want to return a value. And for the column number, that selects the column in the array from which you want to return a value. Let's take a look at an example in closer detail so that we can see how to apply the index formula. In our example, the general manager of a secondhand car dealership wants to know the quarterly sales of each branch and wants to be able to look it up with ease. The financial analyst generates the sales report of the dealership sales for the current year per below. However, the general manager doesn't want to have to constantly sort through data. The general manager wants a pick list to be able to choose which quarter he would like to pull data from, which branch location, and which type of vehicle. So if we scroll down, we can see the sales report by quarter, and it's broken up between type of vehicle. We have sedans, Q1 through Q4. We have SUVs, hatchbacks, and convertibles. And we've got the sales by quarter outlined for each state in each of the tables. So each type of vehicle, sedan, SUV, hatchback, and convertible, have 4 columns: Alabama, California, Florida, and Washington, and they have 4 rows, quarters 1 through quarter 4. So the goal here is to be able to create a drop-down that indexes that information such that we can set the parameters of vehicle type and state and quarter and be able to pull up the information. So let's take a look at the solution where we're using the index formula. If you take a look at cell D30, we have an option here of dropping down the branch location. So the way in which we set that up for the general manager was we made a list of all the different variations of states, and we did that in cells C37 through H41. So in column E, we have the branch locations, and what we did was we just highlighted cells E38 through E41, clicked data in the top ribbon, and then data validation, and we made it a pick list. So let's take a look at the cell D30 data validation rule that's set up. If I click on data validation, I can see that there's a list that was set up, and we referenced cells E38 through E41. That creates a pick list, and we can toggle between it. Additionally, we created a drop down for fiscal quarter. And so since there's only 4 fiscal quarters, we applied the same methodology by going to data validation, choosing list, and then clicking on cells C38 through C41, and then pressing enter. Finally, we created a data validation rule of vehicle type by going to cell D32 and choosing list for data validation type, and choosing the source of G38 through G41 and pressing OK. So now we have 3 drop-down lists, one for branch location, fiscal quarter, and vehicle type, which is exactly what the general manager wanted. And he wants to be able to toggle between those 3 different variations and be able to return the sales amount based on those conditions. So as you can see in cell D34, we've created an index formula to be able to achieve those objectives. I'll show you how that works in a second, but let's take a look at how the function is going to operate. If I choose California for the branch location, you see that it's going to return a different result in cell D34. If I were to choose quarter 1 California sales for SUV, we can see that the sales were $62,616. And if I go down to cell D64 in the tables, I can see that that's an accurate result. So it seems like the index formula is working properly. Now let's take a look at how we set up the index formula so that we know how it works. If I take a look at the index formula here, and I'm just going to paste it into cell E34 so that you can understand how it operates. Basically, what we're doing is we're using the index formula, and the first part of the index is to reference the array. And the array is comprised of 4 different sections. If you look down here on the screen, we've got the first section for sedans, the second section for SUVs, the third section for hatchbacks, and the fourth section for convertibles. So there's actually 4 different arrays that we're referencing. Each of them are structured very similarly, but we still need to reference them in our formula. So the first part of our formula is to reference cells C57 through F60, which is the array for sedans. And then we reference the array for SUVs, i.e. cells C64 through F67. And then for hatchbacks, i.e. cells C71 through F74. And finally for convertibles, cells C78 through F81. In the next part of the formula, we're using a Vlookup formula. So we're nesting the Vlookup formula within the index formula. And the reason why we're doing that is because we want to look up within those tables certain conditions. So the first condition that we're looking up is in cell D31. So cell D31 is the fiscal quarter. And we're going to perform the lookup of the fiscal quarter in cells C38 through D41, which is the table reference we have here for quarters and a reference number. And what we want it to do is return the result in column D, i.e. column number 2 that it finds. So in this case, if it finds Q1 within the table, then it's going to return the reference number 1. Now, the reason why we're doing that is because if you take a look at the formula syntax for the index function, it's really comprised of a few components. First, we have the array, and we already put in the array within the formula, i.e. the 4 tables that exist for the different vehicle types. But this part of the formula is now considering the row number. It's the middle part of the formula, and the row number that we want selected is either rows 1, 2, 3, or 4 in each of the array tables. And we want it to produce 1, 2, 3, or 4 depending on the quarter numbers, because if you take a look at one of the arrays, it starts with Q1 and then it ends at Q4. So therefore it goes in sequence from 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if we do a VLOOKUP of Q1 as the fiscal quarter, that suggests it's going to be row number 1 of the array. So if it changed to Q2, then that would return the second row of the array. So that'll achieve our objective for the lookup. The next part of the index formula is to return a column number of what column we want to return the result for in the array table. And we're going to use a VLOOKUP for that as well. This time for the VLOOKUP, to identify the column number, we're going to do a VLOOKUP of cell D30, which is the branch location, and we're going to look that up within cells E38 through F41. Now, this will work because each of the states as branch locations are sequentially ordered from 1 through 4 in the array table. So for instance, the first column of the array is related to Alabama. The second column of the array is related to California. The third column of the array is related to Florida. And the fourth column of the array is related to Washington. And that's consistent across each of the tables. Therefore, if California is selected in the dropdown, then we want to reference column 2. If Florida is selected in the dropdown, then we want to reference the third column. So as you can see, we're trying to understand the intersection of the row and column based on the dropdown. If you take a look at the fourth column here for Washington, the intersection that we have highlighted is Washington and Q3, so that would be row 3 and column 4, and that returns a result of $55,123. The fourth and final part of the array formula is to reference an area number. Now we're going to do a VLOOKUP for this as well. And the reason why the area number appears is because we referenced 4 unique arrays at the beginning of the index formula. If you recall, we referenced the array for sedan, and then we referenced an array for SUV, and then for hatchback, and then for convertible. So there's 4 different arrays. So we have to tell the formula which one to reference. So in our formula, we're doing a VLOOKUP of cell D32, which is type of vehicle, i.e. SUV in this case, in terms of what we have chosen for the dropdown. And we're doing that as a lookup in cells G38 through H41. Now, we've created this table here to match each of the specifications, i.e. quarter, branch, and vehicle type, to reference numbers. And it worked for quarters and branches, and it'll work for area numbers as well, because we know the sequence in which the vehicle types are presented. Sedans come first, SUVs come second, hatchbacks come third, and convertibles come fourth. And that's exactly how we've ordered it in the first part of our array formula. We can put that information in a table, i.e. sedan 1, SUV 2, hatchback 3, convertible 4, and depending on what's chosen in the drop-down list, it'll return the corresponding area result. Again, when we use the VLOOKUP, we're returning the second column of what's found, i.e. if SUV is found in cells G38 through H41, we don't want the word SUV returned, which exists in the first column. We actually want the second column returned, which is in column 2, and it'll return the area number. So for SUV, it'll return a 2. For sedan, it'll return a 1. I'm going to go ahead and press enter. And as you can see, again, it's 62616. If I were to choose Washington and Q1 and sedan, then the result is $72,345. And we can see that is accurate by looking at the first table. If I wanted to achieve the Q3 results and understand what that looked like, I would just change that in our drop-down list, and it returns a value of $55,123, which matches our table. Hey guys, thanks for watching this lesson. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe from you. And if you want to learn more about Microsoft Excel, check out these videos above. And don't forget to check out our website, commercecurve.com, where we have lots of in-depth finance and accounting courses available with full training workbooks. All of our courses come with complete workbooks of lessons, examples, pre-built financial models, and training.